Viewers' discretion is advised.
Listen, I gotta listen. Two things. Listen, I gotta go, right? But I want to ask my brother Shaka Amos a question. And this is not related to what you and the brothers talking about, right? Number one, I got the mighty Hebrew on the phone. He told me to tell you shalom. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Hotep family, number love. Do you think it's important for you to have a discussion, a debate with a New Testament Hebrew? Okay. I think that is very important right now.
Okay.
Would you have that debate?
Well, like I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this again. We've been doing this for years. I've been in Hebrew culture over 25 years. I done sat down with many Messianic Israelites and had discussions, actual debates, not debates like how you seen Kim at on trial and it's a circus and people coming out.
You keep mentioning one.
I'm just saying
the only one that was acting like a damn circus was them damn Hebrews up in there. So when you say it was a circus, the only ones that was out of control was them goddamn Hebrews that was in there. So get it right. You wasn't there. I was there.
Listen, again, I'm gonna say, now watch this. I'm gonna say, listen. First of all, I got to make this clear to everybody here. All of y'all are my family, okay? I'm not saying he's a Hebrew, he's this. I'm saying if I'm acting the fool and you're staying around me as I'm acting the fool, then you're a fool too. So regardless, if you want to blame it on the Hebrews acting like a fool by the so-called comedians, no. When I'm saying everybody, I'm saying the whole thing in general was a three-ring circuit. It wasn't scholarshiply put together. When you dealing with these crackers that deal in Harvard, Yale, you understand what I'm saying, Cambridge, these are scholarly men, regardless of them. You ever see the movie Dracula? You seen Dracula? Isn't he aristocratic? Isn't he intelligent? He got a tomb, a coffin. He keep it shiny. You understand what I'm saying? They showing you that they system, even though they demonic, they're intelligent people. And I'm saying we are talking about we are the new age scholars that is going to be the future of the children. You understand what I'm saying? And we running around here acting like Negroes, man. You understand what I'm saying? So when you asking me would I debate a New Testament Israelite, I have no problem with that. But when I'm saying, listen, let me finish so you understand. So here, see this, and don't cut this out. What I'm saying is, debate on our own terms and our own grounds and amongst the Hebrew Israelite community, not for the whole world, you know what I mean, to exploit what we're doing. You know what I mean? And this is what's going on here in Harlem. Everybody's exploiting one another. We're exploiting one another so much, we're missing the picture as to what's really going on. You understand what I'm saying? At one time, I remember when I first came up here, it was about uplifting the people. You understand what I'm saying? Edifying the people. And I'm not saying that's not your intention, but sometimes things can get so big we can lose our way. You understand what I'm saying? So the mighty Hebrew is back to bring back the real path, and the path is
have a seat, grab a plate, now let me fill you up. This is real talk, I edify to build you up. Struggle daily, still the truth we gotta strive for. I'm wiser now, the truth is what I ride for. Knowledge is self-wisdom, the truth over everything. I know what I am, I'm not a boss, I'm a king. Call his crown light, call his crown living. The kingdom is at hand, this is that crown vision. Truth like steak, I eat it to get my savage on. Then hit the streets to expose this modern day Babylon. This that real gospel, this that real news. We struggling just to make it, survival of the real Jews.
Black Power family, welcome to another Standeth TV House of Consciousness production. I have a surprise guest that walked up on me today, and this brother here, he's a powerful brother. Y'all see him right here. He go by the name of the Mighty Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? So yo, first of all, my brother, I want to ask you, man, how you been? You was one of the first Hebrews that I have interviewed at the House of Consciousness.
Absolutely, I'm excellent. I'm just glad that I'm out here with the brothers, you know what I mean, the sisters, and getting much love. Make sure y'all tune into the House of Consciousness. The Mighty Hebrew is back. Shalom.
Okay, now, you know, since you've been gone, there's been a lot of uproar going on, you know, with the General Sabias Suit and Seti, Brother Polite. I mean, they've been holding it down. They've been beating up Hebrews. You got another brother by the name of Shaka Utmost who got the title, the Hebrew Killer. Every Hebrew that he has faced, he had just been putting blood all over the floor. The Hebrew blood is all over the floor, man. So are you here to redeem your brothers?
What I'm saying is, it's the Mighty Hebrew. That's all cool that we going back and forth with this debating. But at the end of the day, we got a beast that's really fucking us up. So what I'm saying is, I'm here for both parties. If both parties want to sit down and we can have an intellectual discussion, so be it. You know what I'm saying? I have no problem with that. I'm here to represent the truth. And the truth of the matter is Yah's king. You know what I'm saying? I'm here representing the Hebrew Israelite nation all over the world. I'm here with the African Hebrew Israelites of Jerusalem, coming from out of Damona, Israel. Rest in peace to my master teacher, Ben Ami Ben Yisrael. Hallelujah.
Okay. You was making some powerful statements, brother.
Absolutely.
When me and you had a build on the phone, and you was really going in on ancient Egypt.
Absolutely.
And I think you are in fault when you were saying things like the ancient Cometics, they had a science and the culture of homosexuality. Okay. I'm going to ask you to prove that. And be careful what you say, because Brother Polite is going to be watching. Shaka Utmost is going to be watching, the Hebrew Killer. You know, don't let that be another notch on his belt. I hate to see my brother, the Mighty Hebrew, with another notch on the Hebrew Killer's belt. Here's one of your brothers who got slaughtered like a couple of years ago. He was out here. Okay, so what do you think about that?
Well, okay. Before I even express about any videos, let's make something clear. You know, when people come and say, yo, do you have any information? I'm saying that's just coming out of nowhere. No, I didn't bring any paperwork or documents on me. You understand what I'm saying? But we, like I said, we can actually sit down, have an intellectual discussion. The problem that I'm having with both parties, whether it's on the Comedian side or the Commission side and the Hebrew Israelites, what we had the Kemet on trial is, it wasn't intellectually put together. It was really a show. You understand what I'm saying? If we're dealing with intelligent beings, you know what I mean, we have to sit down scholarly, you know what I mean, and put all this information together, put it on the screen, have an intellectual discussion on the matter, and I can show emphatically that Kemet did have certain customs and ways about them that wasn't productive, that was very counterproductive. Now, there is one thing that I will say about the Kemet on trial. I'm saying that the Hebrews won and they lost. What do I mean by they won and they lost? Academically, they won. When it came to the people, they lost because the way it was presented to the people. Now, academically, the way that the brother Hashar, Dr. Hashar came, when he came to the House of Consciousness and broke that information down, this is how information has to be broken down to the people. The people must understand and realize that we're in a deplorable state. Now, when we look at ancient Kemet and we look at the teachings and the codex of ancient Kemet, certain customs that they believed in, like, here's a prime example. When you was dealing with Kemet, when Brother Polite was speaking about how they use brothers and sisters figuratively when we was over here, like how we over here in America is calling each other brothers and sisters. But when you actually go into the DNA of the mummified mummies, we know that they dealt with ancestral behavior. We know this because the mummies verify these facts. Now, this is not to discredit the certain edifices that ancient Kemet built. You know, they had their pros and their cons, just like any other nation.
What exactly? Hold on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What exactly was that investigation yielding in terms of them looking into the mummies? Did they have what DNA? Yeah, what DNA? Did they have something in their gene code that spoke to that? Like the white boys in Kentucky, the blue people in Kentucky or something? Like, how did they trace it?
Well, I'm saying, I mean, you basically answered your own question. Through the DNA, they're able to do it. The DNA. Say that one more time.
Hold on. You got to say it on the mic.
What DNA?
I'm pretty sure. Do you
know what DNA is. The breakdown of what DNA is.
Matter of fact, I want you to stand right over there.
Well, what I do is, like I said before, I don't have the information at hand, but what I will, but listen, this is what, no, not at all. This is why I said in the beginning, I really like to deal with information at hand. So right now, I'm just coming off the top of the dome, but there is DNA that can verify if you have, children with your sister or brother or mother or father. There's DNA evidence that can prove that. So let me just go.
Ask you a question.
Me, I study DNA, which is molecular biology. I'm pretty sure you understand the subject matter. And in molecular biology, at this particular time, there's no DNA that they have extracted from any mummies at any particular time in regard to that. If that was the case, I'm pretty sure white boys would have literally revealed that information in the best benefit of being able to retain their hegemony and power in Egyptology. But my position specifically is, do you understand the nature of molecular biology? Mitochondrial DNA polymorphisms, the study of Y chromosomes, the genetic genome project, anything like that. I'm saying if you know the difference between a nucleotide and a sugar phosphorus, just basic, information.
Absolutely. I definitely understand with the Y chromosome stemming back to the father's origin and the mitochondria DNA through the mother. I'm saying I understand the basic premise of DNA. But again, like I said, me and you can actually, or whoever, we can actually have a discussion when one brings their PowerPoints and information. The information is presented by white Egyptologists and biologists proving these matters. Now, right here at hand, I don't have the information, but I can bring this information. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can go online and break down. That looked like somebody I know. Excuse me. No, you look like Peter Guns, for example. I thought that was Peter Guns. But getting back to my point, you can actually go on DNAlinks.com. You can go to DNA and mummies and incest. There's different things that you can go online and you can see this.
Incest, what are you talking about? First of all, incest didn't exist at that particular time. All terms are based on time periods. That means time periods define, let me just finish. Time periods define the nature of how those terms are used. And you cannot use those terms in a term of a term called anachronisms. Anachronisms is using a particular term at a chronological or historical context. And what I'm saying is that it's like saying that the Romans were racist. Racism didn't exist.
Okay, I'm going to show you. Listen, beautiful. Again, in ancient times, there was forms of racism. Now, when I speak of incest, I'm speaking to the people in the common language. Let me finish. Just like, if you notice, I kept my posture. I never said nothing to you. So what I'm saying, when we talk about incest, we talking about where people can relate to. We know that there was incestual behaviors in ancient times. They may not have used the terminology incest, but we know that it existed. So we don't want to pussyfoot about different words and terminologies and acronyms. We understand this clear as day. So everybody here knows without a shadow of doubt, emphatically, that there was incestual behavior. Let me finish, Elder. Let me finish. But we talking about knowledgeable men and women that's around us right now, because those that are in the cipher, because I understand some of these brothers around us, they understand exactly what I'm talking about. And we know that ancient Kemet, the Hebrews, and many other nations dealt with certain incestual behaviors. We have to stop lying on historical reality. Historical reality, listen, let me just finish. Let's do it like this, Elder. Let's do it like this. I'm going to speak. When I'm done speaking, then I pass you the mic. Then when you speak, then, you know what I'm saying? So then everybody can understand where we're coming from. This is what I'm saying to the community. At the end of the day, after we finish talking about this matter here, it still doesn't stop the condition of what's going on. Have we dealt with the situation that these Edomite dogs just choked up Eric Gardner last year and nothing has happened? Did we get into the situation about what happened to Trayvon Martin? You understand what I'm saying? Michael Brown. We talking about certain conditions that is going on today. We can sit back and talk about Kemet, Sumer, Kush, Lumara. We could talk about this all day long, Elder, but at the end of the day, we have to come back into our communities and take this over. Now, I've been gone for over 5 years, and all I see is crackers all throughout. You understand what I'm saying? The streets of Harlem. I'm not your average Hebrew, and Side never know this. pardon my friends, I'm not to be fucked with. Now, when I'm saying to y'all, when I come into this discussion, I'm coming with factual information. I don't like freestyling certain topics like this without factual information at hand. Because, let me finish. Listen, listen, I don't have no problem with freestyling off the dome and all that. But what I'm saying to you is this: when we dealing with ancient societies, we have to stop playing as if ancient societies did not have their pros and cons. This is why let me finish. We know that Kemet dealt with forms of homosexuality. We know, this is how I'm going to show and prove right now. When you go into the continent of Africa, which I've been 4 to 5, 6, 7 times, when you go over there to the continent of Africa, when you look at traditional African cultures and different African societies over there, they show and prove by their traditions, their customs, that they come from preceding cultures. And to this day, you have certain tribes over there that do certain cultures and customs that don't have nothing to do with Europeans, that have been passed down from traditional ancestors before them that was deviant. The same with the Hebrews. Listen, I'm a show and prove. Okay, here's a prime example. Here's a prime example of what I mean. When you look at, for instance, the creation story, we know for a fact within the creation story that they show, you understand what I'm saying, certain picturesque forms, a certain homosexual behavior that we were not. Now, I understand. Let me so you'll understand where I understand what y'all talking about. I understand the principles that y'all talking about. I understand that y'all talking about the netures are principles and that the neture rule is the whole and all. I understand all them concepts. What I'm saying to you is when you look at ancient Kemet within the time of 3100, 3500 BC, let me now. We can beg to differ from that because I'm going way before Abraham. I'm not even starting with Abraham. So now what I'm saying to you, I'll get to that in a second. We dealing with Kemet right now. Listen, no, he's not. No, listen, I read the Tanakh. I read Ivrit. I don't deal with modern King James versions, and you know this. Now, getting back to what the brother was saying about Kemet. Now, in the codified, you know what? Look, I'm a truth seeker. In the codified text as we have it, the Masoretic text today, you're correct. You understand what I'm saying? But we're going to get into some of the stone tablets that they found, like the Los Lonis inscriptions and different inscription tablets that they found over here in the Americas that's dating 1500 BCE. So we know that the stories and the texts of the Torah did exist prior to the Masoretic text. But I just want to say this one thing. But go ahead.
So what you just said,
what's up, baby?
Are you also attributing, should I say, the Hebraic presence to the Americas prior to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Right. Now let me get back to Kemet, because we're focusing on this Kemet thing. What I'm saying to you is, when you start talking about 3100, 3500 BCE, and if you even want to take it back to 4200 BCE, we already know that Kemet was in a declining state. You understand what I'm saying? Because we talking about man been here for millions and millions and millions of years. You understand what I'm saying? By the time they built the pyramids, we was in a declining state. So to sit back and say that,
by the time who built the pyramids?
I'm saying that there were different peoples that built the pyramids at different times. So listen, what the scriptures say in Shemot, falsely called Exodus chapter 1 verse 11. It said,
when the scriptures,
now,
the pyramids was being
let me now.
There was no Bible.
Listen. Let's take one step at a time, because I can prove that the Exodus did happen in the 12th dynasty, which was 1446 BCE. Hold, let me finish. Just like you keep saying, first of all, this is what y'all doing. Listen, I am. But listen, I'm the mighty Hebrew. I've been gone for 5 years. What you talking about? I got this mic now. What I'm saying is, we constantly hear, when y'all come up, y'all say this question, that question. Let's deal with the topic at hand. Kemet was in a decline at the time. So we know that there were deviant behaviors that was happening in this society, just like any other society. Don't make it seem like this was like a heavenly host society. At its prime, it was its prime. Just like when you deal with America. Let's use America as example. When these wicked ass founding forefathers came over here, they put a personification like they was holier than thou. But as time started to develop, you can see the social fabric of America collapsing. Look at all these faggots running around. There's child molesters, homosexuals. Look at the decline of America right now. That's how Egypt was. Egypt was a let me finish. Egypt was a conglomerate. Listen, when I say Kemet, no. When I'm saying about Kemet, no. What's your name, good brother?
Let me just say this. in regard to information, anybody that knows anything about information, there's a process. And the most important thing about history is time and geography. Okay. If you don't have any understanding about time period or geography or your relationship to terminologies and time period, you can very easily use terminologies out of context. And that's what we do a great deal of time. First of all, in regard to numbers, when you're dealing with ancient Kemetic history, there is no exact numbers. And all of these numbers that are being thrown around are numbers that were made up by institutions and scholars and individuals. Not only the white man, there's Africans that do the same thing. Listen, hold on. Hebrews came up with a particular concept. And it's called, the world is 5,775. Let me finish. I'll let you talk. Now, if you go right now to any Jewish calendar, it says that the world is 5,775 years old. Right. That's what it says. That's what the Jewish calendar says. Yes. Now, look, we familiar with that. You just let me finish. No, I'm just saying. Now, in regard to that, what it represents is an anachronism to what reality says. Reality says that they got redwood trees that's 3,000 years old. And that's a fact. Not that we deal in this based on hyperbole or tradition or legend or folklore. Because when we talk about religious history, a lot of it is dominated by legend, folklore, and tradition, not based on actual facts of history and chronological law. So when we deal with that kind of information, it's important that we understand how it's being used. And what happens is that when we deal with, say, the creation of the world, you know, go to any physicist right now and they say we dealing with about 13, 14 billion years. Now, when we deal with human beings, we talking about anywhere between 6 and 7 million years. But you got individuals that think dinosaurs and humans lived at the same time. You know, like the Flintstones. This don't exist. But it's important to understand that when you talk about history, history is also a subjective discipline. It's based on the person who's telling the story. And that don't mean it's right, factual, and people run around with the term like a fact is something edged in stone. A fact is not a fact. A fact is always subject to interpretation. That means if an event happened, no matter what happens, somebody has to interpret what took place, even though it happened. And that interpretation sets the foundation for how we're going to define what it is. And what we do is that we go along with the majority of information that we have been told. So majority of people that stand in here, I can say at least 85% of the information that you have in your head right now is based on hearsay. That means that you acquired that information by somebody telling you it. You didn't research it. You didn't find out whether it was true or not. You just accepted it as truth without proof. Now, if you go to a dictionary and look up that definition, to accept something as truth without proof, you'll find out that the word belief comes up. To believe in something means to accept something as truth with no proof. So when we talk about Adam being the first Hebrew, or we talking about, in this case, Ramesses II being a pharaoh, the difference is we have no evidence whatsoever that a Hebrew named Jesus ever exists. No evidence. Not factually in a word that was written, in an item that was found or left by him, in any context. But we got an individual who lived 1,500 years before he did. His name, Ramesses II. In their Bible, they say he was washed up in the fucking river going across the Red Sea. Anybody that been to Egypt, he right in the museum right now. You could go see him. Now, the fact is that the reality is that we have evidence on one side, and on the other side, we got some folklore. They celebrate an event every year called Passover. And that Passover represents an event pertaining to the slaves being in Egypt. There's no factual evidence for that. There's a stela called the Maranatha Stela. It was written as a victory stela by the son of Ramesses II. It's the first time ever in the history of the world that the word Israel is ever mentioned. And it's not in the Hebrew text. It's in the Egyptian text. And anybody that knows anything about chronological history or anything about anthropology or paleoanthropology understands these facts. It's not something I say, it's what science says. So we can say all we want to that, you know, the world was made in 6 days, you know, and there's no evidence to substantiate that. And my thing is that if that's what you believe, trust ain't gonna argue about your belief. But when you start saying beliefs are fact, then you got a problem. And the issue is that most people going to believe in a lot of things in their life because there's a lot of things we can't prove or validate. But that don't mean that facts go out the window. So always remember this in regard to information, in regard to research or anything. Most of us acquire the information through hearsay. And you can validate that by even the stories that are told to them. My mother told me one time, she say, if you get a burn, take some butter and put it on the burn. One day, I'm in a metal shop class, I'm in high school, I get a burn from a metal shop class. My next class is cafeteria. I go to the cafeteria, I take one of them little slats of butter and put it on my burn. So as I'm sitting there putting it on there, the teacher looked at me and said, "Graham, what you doing?" I said, "I'm putting some butter on my burn. I got a burn in metal shop class." He said, "So why are you putting butter on it?" I said, "Because my mother told me that if you put butter on it, you know, that'll soothe the pain, so-and-so." He said, "What teacher am I?" I said, "Chemistry." He said, "Chemistry say you don't take grease and put on something hot because you're gonna exasperate the deterioration of the skin tissue. What you want is something cold, compressed, or water." Now, my mother told me that because she learned it from somebody that she thought it was credible, and she passed on the information. Now that I found the information that was true, the first thing I did was I went back home and I told my mother the exact same thing. From that day on, she said that she would never do it again. But the chemistry teacher said this: maybe they might have gotten the story mixed up. Maybe they really would have said to go to the refrigerator, take a wrapped up stick of butter that's still wrapped up and put it on your compress because it's cold, it's not greasy, and it will literally soothe the problem. But if you take it out of the package and put it on there, you just taking grease, putting it in a hot pan, ready to fry something. So again, the object is being able to understand the transmission of information, how that information is being disseminated, and most of all, that is as accurate as possible, that we have did our legwork in regard to background research and history. So that way we understand that when we're talking about events, whether they, tradition, folklore, or legend, that we look at them in the proper context. A Bible, all religious books have a particular way they should be read. You don't just pick it up and assume that you're going to read a non-fictional book fictional. You don't do that. Most books, if you open them up, each book will tell you, when you open up the book, it will tell you what kind of book it is, the category that book is, how you're supposed to read it, and the basic benefits that you're getting out of it, the subject matters that it covers, all of that. Now, when you open up the Bible, it don't tell you none of that. And most of the material that was written way later from the time in which the events took place. There was an article that was written in the New York Times that says, "Camels have no business in the Bible." And the reason that was because there was an anachronism where a Jewish scholar from Stern Institute read a passage in relation to Abraham, where Abraham made a statement about him sending his servant to get a camel that didn't exist at the time in which he was making the statement. So what the scholar did was he wanted to find out whether that was true. So what they did was they went and got 2 archaeologists to do some diggings to find out when camels were introduced into those areas. 970. You hear what I just said? So their position was that, I mean, AD, we talking BC, 970. But what they're saying is that Abraham wasn't there was no camels that existed at that time. So they couldn't have been asking for camels. So what the scholars came up with was this, that the text was written at a time when camels were already existing there, and they assumed that that was part of the narrative of the story that existed prior. See, a lot of us don't understand the relationship of how things got to be. So when we look at them, we assume that that's the way they always was. Right now, as I was telling them, the largest producer of cocoa in the world is the Ivory Coast and Ghana. But Ghana and Ivory Coast is not indigenous to cocoa. It comes from South America. And what happens is that when they transported that particular foodstuff and now it becomes the #1 crop, most people think that it originated in Ghana. It did not. Cassava, same thing. Tomatoes. Why you think they call a Englishman a limey? They call him that because in that particular area of the world, they had a shortage of what they would call citrus fruits, which gave them a disease called rickets. It's a softening of the bones. The only way that they could alleviate it was eat citrus products, oranges, lemons, and all of that. So all of the ship-bearing individuals was given limes to go on the ship, and when they would come off, they would call them limeys. Same thing, like the word spick. Anybody know where the word spick come from? See? That's what I'm saying. But we think it's derogatory. But the word spick comes from he speak no English. He speak no English.
Bring my brother back on right quick.
Let me just go. I just want to say thank you, and I'll see you later. Brother? Trust.
All right. All right. That was a good welcome back to Harlem. That was a good welcome back to Harlem lecture right quick. Absolutely. What have you learned, my brother?
Nothing. Yeah, I mean, not in a bad way. But listen, see, this is what I'm saying. No, I learned some things. I learned some things. The good brother was okay.
I just want to say one more thing. I just want to say next week on Wednesday, which is the 29th. I don't know if y'all familiar with the UAM.
Yes.
Right, the United African Movement. Street. Right, no, in Brooklyn.
That's
right, Alton Maddox in there. I'll be speaking there on the 29th, 7:30, on the origin and the evolution of human beings, how human beings, races, all that came into being.
That was good. First and foremost, once again, giving all praise and honor to Yahweh, the Holy One of Yasha Allah, for giving me this blessed opportunity. Again, as I was saying earlier, we as a people have to stay on context in anything we say. If we was listening to what the elder, giving all praise to the elder, you know what I mean, that he gave a lot of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. But the problem is he was being everywhere. He was talking about a bunch of things. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to start from the end what he was talking about. I'm going to go back to the beginning and try to answer all the questions. Well, he really didn't ask questions. He made more statements that was really inaccurate. Now, let me make something clear. I understand that you see Hebrew Israelites on the street corner. I understand that you see Hebrew Israelites with the King James Version only Bible that plow out Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. That's all good. I love my brothers. But let's make it clear, I'm Torah center. Number one, I don't acknowledge Jesus. I acknowledge strictly the Tanakh in the Hebrew. So now, when he was talking about the Hebrews, because this was the first thing that he interjected, that the Hebrews dealt with a calendar that talks about creation dating back 6,000 years. This is not true. Now, it's the Jewish people that created the calendar that they talk about creation. But if you actually go into the Genesis, and I wish they had the Hebrew text, but I know it offhand. In the Hebrew, it says, Bereshit bara Elohim ha-shamayim ha-aretz, meaning in beginnings. So when you actually reading the Genesis, you're not reading about the beginning of creation, but what you're reading about is a reestablishment of an already existing society. When you're talking about 6,000 years, every 6,000 years was what you call a quarter of a cycle. So every 24 to 25,000 years is that we renewed our history. So when you start talking about Adam, you're not talking about a man per se. Let's break it down. They translate the word Adam to mean man. That's inaccurate. The word man goes back to the Sanskrit word menu, which means to think. The word Adam means first blood or firstborn. When you break down the word Adam, you got the aloft, or the al, which symbolizes strength for first in rank. The dam or the dalif is symbolic to blood, or one proceeding in the door. The meme is the water or the blood flowing through the door. So when you talk about Adam, you're talking about first in rank, firstborn. This is not to say that Adam was the first person to be created on the planet, because he wasn't. He was the first to establish or already reestablish or already existing society. That's number one. Number two, we are not Jewish nor Jews. When you start talking about the ancient Hebrew language, even though you may see certain Hebrew Israelites say that they're the original Jews, that's really like not right and exact, because there's no J or E in the ancient Hebrew language. Now, I'm a Hebrew Israelite from the tribe of Yehowadah, and modern Hebrew Yahudah, which becomes translated into Judah. The so-called Jewish people, through quote-unquote DNA, it's already been established that they're not the direct descendants of the Israelites. Now, let's go into the whole thing about Ramses being the Pharaoh, because he brought that up, and about the Passover being a fraud and that there was no Exodus. When you read in Exodus chapter 1 verse 11, yes, it uses the word Python and Ramses, but let's deal with the hypothetical. Let's say if I write a book and I say that the Dutch discovered New York. We know that the Dutch, when they came over here, they called it New Amsterdam, but for the modern reader, they call it New York. But we know originally it was called New Amsterdam. I know it was other names before them because the natives had this land over here. Now, let's go back into Exodus chapter 1, verse 11. It was really Avaris. That was the original name. Now, when you talk about Ramses the second or third, or even what you call Akhenaten, they were really contemporaries of King David. We already know that contemporary Egyptologists is already saying that the Egyptian chronology is off 500 to 600 years. The reason why they haven't found any archaeological evidence about the Exodus is because of the date that they're using is inaccurate. They're looking in the 18th, 19th dynasty, which is 1291 BCE, to find information to see that if there's any archaeological records or findings of any Hebrews, they haven't found them. But when they shift it back and go into the 12th dynasty, you'll find out that Pharaoh was Amenonat IV. They have found remains of Asiatics, quote unquote Asiatics, black Hebrews, in the prostration position. You understand what I'm saying? Being buried towards the east. They found babies. When you read the story of the Exodus, the same story, you understand what I'm saying, with the killing of the babies, they found thousands and thousands and thousands of babies. When you talk about the stone that he was talking about, the Menonoth stone, and it mentions the name Israel, he's absolutely correct. How could they speak about Israel if Israel was in bondage? Because that stone was written 1224 BCE. The problem is this. We're constantly using European records, you understand what I'm saying, because they're trying to place themselves in history. So what I'm saying is this. It's cool to speak about European records, but as I said earlier when we was talking about the building of the pyramids, y'all always hear, I never gave an absolute to the building of the pyramids. I never did. I said some say this, some say that, some say this, because in all actuality, carbon-dating 14 is an inaccurate knowledge. And again, we're still going back to Europeans, you understand what I'm saying, to define our history, whether if it's economics, whether if it's science, history, anything, geopolitics. We're going to these people for the answers. Our ancestors didn't tell time linearly. They told it circularly. So when people talk, it was the creation of the universe, when in fact the Hebrews use Hebrew cosmology, you understand what I'm saying, to talk about the reestablishment of their society. And until we able to go into the Hebrew text, you understand what I'm saying, and really dive into the Hebrew and stop just dealing with only King James English versions, you're going to have people coming up speaking about the so-called Bible, you understand what I'm saying, from a King James perspective, verse dealing with the original Hebrew. Now let's go with some Hebrew manuscripts, because the brother right here, Blue Pill, was talking about finding records and documents over here. The reason why we know that these stories are accurate, because we know, for instance, in Iowa, they just found a record of the hum of Akhenaten or Anton. If you understand, when King Solomon had the triple alliance with Hiram of Tyre and Sodom, and with King Akhenaten, they had this triple alliance. When they came over here to the Americas through navigation, they found all 3 languages over here in the Americas.
There was no King Solomon. Prove it.
Easy. That's easily proven. Let me show to you how that's easily proven. Let's go outside of the scripture. Let's go into the Philosophian history. Listen, I give you dates for your convenience, even though I don't deal with the Europeans. Now we know that 966 BCE is when Solomon started to construct the temple. Go outside the history into the Kebal and the Guest, which the Ethiopians to this day had a bloodline of Solomon kings going all the way from Menelik I all the way to Emperor Haile Selassie. We know that the Queen of Sheba, who is Makeda, had a child with Solomon. We know this. You can go into the Philosophians themselves. The reason that they try to call the Philosophians the tribe of Dan, because the so-called Jews understand that the tribe of Judah is the national jurisdictional bloodline of the Davidic kings. So they had to take that from them and say that they were from the tribe of Dan. Now, I want to say something to everybody, because everybody keeps talking about DNA. That's a subject matter that even he was talking about briefly earlier. I did my DNA. I went to African Ancestry myself and did my DNA. My DNA, less than 1%, stem back on my patrilineal lineage to the Igbos. The Igbos of West Africa. I'm in connection with the Igbo king over there in West Africa and Nigeria, and they trace their lineage, Absolutely. Well, let me explain a little bit more. Let me explain a little bit more about DNA. We got to be careful with this, because even though they say less than 1% go back to the Igbo, we know that they done did DNA evidence. Like, say for instance, if you go to African Ancestry, they do DNA on you. Then you might go to DNAlinks.com. They're going to be different. Why? Because when we start talking about West African tradition, which some Hebrews lack the understanding, a lot of the West African tribes, such as the Igbo, the Fulanti, the Ashanti, the Mendinka, the Husia, the Fantu, a lot of these were Hebrew sub-clans that came over, was pushed by Titus and Vespasian into West Africa, and they amalgamated and mixed with the indigenous tribes that was already over there and start building these Hebrew empires. So when we say, oh, that's African in nature, they don't understand that certain tribes are really Shemitic, not Semitic. I'm going to flip it to you real quick and then answer your questions. It's just like when you deal with Afrocentricity. There are different schools of thought of Afrocentricity. Asprey doesn't fully believe in Ashanti. Ashanti doesn't fully acknowledge Mulatto Karinga and everything. Mulatto Karinga doesn't acknowledge fully Sheikh Anta Diop. Sheikh Anta Diop doesn't acknowledge fully from Chancellor Williams. So to sit back, no. I'm going to answer. Listen, what did I just say, y'all? Didn't I say I was going to first shoot this comment and then come back and answer the question? I'm trying to show you that just because there's certain differences, the commonality is our nationality. Now let me explain to you about understanding the differences of some Israelites that don't acknowledge JC or quote-unquote Jesus, and some that do. First, you have to understand the origin and the evolution of how the Israelite movement got established over here in the United States of America. And when what we need to go back to is a brother by the name of Prophet F.S. Cherry and also William S. Crowley. A lot of them Israelites from 1886, 1896, they came from down south, and they was saturated with a lot of the Christianity. So when they came up north to Philadelphia and New York and different things, they started to create churches. Then as time went on, you had another set of Israelites like Nasi Quam, Rabbi Arnold Josiah Four, Matthews, a person that's doing what you're doing right here, that sat right here close to 100 years ago, that was Torah Center. So these two schools of thought grew over the years within their understanding. Now for me to sit back, reads the Quran. The Quran is written in Arabic. He can read it. If he got a Arab thought or Islamic thought, if he sees certain mistranslations, you understand what I'm saying, from the Yusuf Ali, first the Noble Quran, he don't have to fully know Arabic in its absolute, but he'll know it in detail enough to make the social correction at hand. So when you sit back and say about people reading the King James Bible, I'm not dealing with what they read, and I'm dealing with the thought behind what they reading. And this is what we got to come back to, the thought.
The King James Bible is trash.
I'm not saying that the King James Bible is trash. I'm saying that the King James Bible has
holy book, brother.
I'm saying, first of all, listen, you asking me, now listen to what you're saying. You're asking me,
is the King James Bible a holy book?
Okay, I'm saying that. Look, you can let it go, bro. No, but understand what I gotta say. He's asking me. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Listen to what I'm gonna say. He asked me, was the King James Bible a holy book? I'm saying that no book is holy because the word holy goes back to the word helios, which helios is dealing with a halo. So now if you asking me about holy, no, it's a set apart book because the Hebrew word is kwadosh, which means to be set apart. So certain words that we're using over here in the United States of America is pagan in origin. I am not the same Hebrews that you've been used to dealing with. Now what I'm saying,
let me ask you. So the book that the Hebrews are using, that you see, would you say that that's a good book to teach our people?
I'm saying this with a Hebrew that has a Hebrew thought, and if they know how to understand it in its concrete absolute. Yes, what do I mean by that? Understand that the Hebrew language is a concrete language. It's not an abstract language. Here's a prime example of what I mean. If somebody say Hebrew is not a language, okay. I'm glad that you mentioned the word Hebrew. We need to deal with that word, for example, because everybody says that Abraham is the first Hebrew. The word in modern Hebrew is pronounced Ibrit. It goes back to the ancient root word ibar. When you deal with any type of dodak or grammar in Hebrew, past tense, present tense, future tense, the past tense is known as ibari, which means past as an ancient. It doesn't mean one who crosses over. The oldest known person to have the root word ibar is actually a man by the name of Ibar in Beta Eshyat, falsely called Genesis chapter 10 verses 21 to 24. But to go outside of that, you can go into ancient Indian records from out of India into a dynasty called the Haraparian dynasty, that the Eberite people existed out of India thousands and thousands and thousands of years before there was even an Abraham that existed. So the Hebrews existed thousands and thousands and thousands of years before there was even an Abraham. When Ibar took that name, Ibar, it was only a reminder of the past records that came before him. So we know that India is some of the oldest civilizations on the planet. Even when the brother earlier, Listen, let me finish. No, come back here. That's proven. When you go into Genesis chapter 11, it talks about the people came from the east into the plain of Shinar. The east from Shinar is India. You understand what I'm saying? And when you start talking about the Indian records, like y'all talk about the Kundalini and all that, when the brother Jonathan was talking about the Kundalini, he's talking about Hinduism. This stuff coming back to India. Don't you know that a lot of traditions of these modern Egyptologists, when it deals with spirituality, they get the understanding from the Hinduic records? You understand what I'm saying? We know this to be a fact. Everybody out here knows this information.
So let me ask you this.
Absolutely.
Do you think it's important for you to have a discussion, a debate with a New Testament Hebrew? Okay. I think that is very important right now.
Okay.
Would you have that debate?
Well, like I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this again. We've been doing this for years. I've been in Hebrew culture over 25 years. I done sat down with many Messianic Israelites and had discussions, actual debates, not debates like how you seen Kemet on trial and it's a circus and people coming out.
You keep mentioning one.
I'm just saying
the only one that was acting like a damn circus was them damn Hebrews up in there. So when you say it was a circus, the only ones that was out of control was them goddamn Hebrews that was in there. So get it right. You wasn't there. I was there.
Listen, again, I'm going to say, now watch this. I'm going to say, listen, first of all, I got to make this clear to everybody here. All of y'all are my family, okay? I'm not saying he's a Hebrew, he's this. I'm saying if I'm acting the fool and you're staying around me as I'm acting the fool, then you're a fool too. So regardless, if you want to blame it on the Hebrews acting like a fool by the so-called comedians. No. When I'm saying everybody. I'm saying the whole thing in general was a three-ring circuit. It wasn't scholarshiply put together. When you dealing with these crackers that deal in Harvard, Yale, you understand what I'm saying, Cambridge, these are scholarly men, regardless of them. You ever see the movie Dracula? You seen Dracula? Isn't he aristocratic? Isn't he intelligent? He got a tomb, a coffin. He keep it shiny. You understand what I'm saying? They showing you that they system, even though they demonic, they're intelligent people. And I'm saying we are talking about, we are the new age scholars that is going to be the future of the children. You understand what I'm saying? And we running around here acting like Negroes, man. You understand what I'm saying? So when you asking me would I debate a New Testament Israelite, I have no problem with that. But what I'm saying, listen, no. Let me finish so you understand. So here, see this, and don't cut this out. What I'm saying is, debate on our own terms and our own grounds and amongst the Hebrew Israelite community, not for the whole world, you know what I mean, to exploit what we're doing. You know what I mean? And this is what's going on here in Harlem. Everybody's exploiting one another. We're exploiting one another so much, we're missing the picture as to what's really going on. You understand what I'm saying? At one time, I remember when I first came up here, it was about uplifting the people. You understand what I'm saying? Edifying the people. And I'm not saying that's not your intention, but sometimes things can get so big we can lose our way. You understand what I'm saying? So the mighty Hebrew is back to bring back the real path, and the path is, yo, look who's taking over Harlem. We talk about the so-called white man as the devil, but what we doing about it? You understand what I'm saying? We got the Arabs that you can go into their stores and they selling this pork. Right or wrong, brother Bashir? Am I lying? Am I lying, good brother? You understand what I'm saying? We talking about how much we love Egypt and Israel, but we not going over there taking it over. You know what I mean? If that's our land, if Egypt is our land, if Israel is our land, why we don't take the fuck over? Why we don't go to the world and proclaim and declare to the world that we are the original Hebrew Israelites, or we are the original Comessians? They running around. We know under the 42 negative confessions of Mayat, negative confession 35 say don't desecrate the burials. And we up there taking pictures with mummies and different things like that. Like everything is cool, and you know what that is? That's a trophy of conquest. Now, speaking about the word Africa, we know that the boy Gerald Massey in the book of Beginnings talk about the word Africa comes back to the word afar from the Ruti people. But what they failed to tell you, this is not about being a Hebrew Israelite or any of that stuff. When you look at Gerald Massey's, I need you to hear this. When you talk about the Ruti people, anybody that read any books by Madame Blavatsky and the Secret Doctrine, or what you talk about Isis Unveiled, the Ruti people was a sub-race group that came from out of the Lumerians 18 million years ago. This is where they're getting that concept from. But when we talk about Hebrew in the far, it actually goes back to the Hebrew word Ipar, which means soil. When you go into Genesis chapter 2 verse 7, and it says that the Adam came out of the soil, it's the afar. But the word Africa itself, when you put the kindness on Africa, it means to conquer. It means to conquer the soil. So when you say that you are African, you talking about you was conquered by Publius Cornelius Scipio Africanus, who went into the continent of Africa during the Punic Wars in 202 BCE and conquered that land. Our ancestors didn't call ourselves African. Now, I'm not saying that we're not from that continent. I'm saying the whole planet is ours, because before it was even an Africa or Asia, and before the continental drifts, what we know as Africa today didn't exist. This is something that Europeans is trying to put their stamp in history. When they start talking about Australopithecus bones and all that, the Lucy bones, they talking about just because I die in Harlem, that don't mean that I'm from Harlem because they found my bones here. You understand what I'm saying? I'm saying that the whole multiverse is ours. We own this whole planet. They trying to take this planet from you. You understand what I'm saying? We worrying about Africa. We need to worry about the whole entire planet, because before any Europeans was on this planet, the whole planet was ours. You sitting up here worrying about if you are Asiatic black man, or if you are African man, or if you are God, or this, that, the third. We ruled all this, did we not? Say yeah if y'all agree. That we not rule this planet. So for people to sit up here and limit themselves to just being an African, or we talking about there's 52 countries in Africa. Where in Africa do you come from? Are you Nigerian? And even if you say, yeah, I'm a Nigerian, all right, now, are you an Igbo? Are you a Yoruba? Who are you? You understand what I'm saying? We don't even know that a lot of these sub-tribes like Bantu and things, they're the original Shemitic people. We are so caught up. That's right, good brother. We so caught up in this Semitic and Shemitic. And I want to clear this up. Because you got a brother by the name of Ra that wrote a book called Metuneta. And he got all the Afrocentric people believing that Semitic or Semite means half. But if anybody do any etymological research, they'll find out that the word Hemi is what means half, not Semite. When you look at the word Semite, it's S-E-M-I-T-E. When you go to a dictionary, it's going to say S-E-M.I-T-E. Sem is the Greek way of saying the Hebrew word Shem, because the Greek language didn't have an SH sound. They said Sem. The Ike at the end define descendant of. So when they say Semite, they saying the descendant of Shem, which is Noah's eldest son. And now getting to the thing about the Africans and we being anti-African, let's make this clear. When we saying that we don't deal with certain Africans, and the reason why I'm saying certain so-called Africans, because all the so-called African tribes are not Hamitic that live over there. Let me make it clear for my brothers, you know what I mean, so everybody understand what brothers like Captain Tazariak and them is talking about. They talking about the descendants of Ham or Ham. This is where you get in the word Kemet from. When you say Ham, you understand what I'm saying, which means hot or heated.
That's a damn lie.
You saying that's a lie?
Kemet was here before some damn...
No, are you sure?
You say you get that from where, Cam?
I'm not talking about the empire. Listen, it's a difference from...
Where you say you get Kemet from?
The word Kemet comes from the Egyptian as well as the Hebrew word Kam. That's why the Egyptians called themselves Kamau or Kamata, because they said that they was descendants of Kam, which is Ham. It's the same exact person, man. It's just English. That's all it is. It's English. When you're saying Ham, Cam, you're saying the same thing. Am I lying? It's the same exact person. Good bro. Am I? Because now, show and prove.
We all know at that time that there was no goddamn Hebrew language, man. At the time of ancient Kemetic.
Okay, first.
Ancient Kemetic, there was no Hebrew language.
First of all, let's deal with ancient Kemetic and Hebrew. If you know, I'm about to tell you. I'm about go get the Hebrew killer, man. Go get the Hebrew killer, man. All right, let's speak about the Hebrew language. What we know as modern day Hebrew today was not ancient Hebrew as we know it today. The ancient Hebrew as well as ancient Arabic didn't have vowels. It was a consonantal language that dealt with the sounds of creation. Now when you start talking about science, as they talk about, when you deal with the DNA structure of man, they already proved that the vibrations of ancient Hebrew corresponds with the DNA. When you're dealing with sounds of creation in general, you're dealing with the Hebrew language in its purest. Ba, ga, da, ha, wa. These are the sounds of creation that became codified and came together to make sounds or words. But the Hebrew, what we call Hebrew, always existed. This is why we don't call it Hebrew. We call it Lashawan HaKwadash, which means the set apart tongue, because we understood that this was the language of creation. And if you notice about Hebrew, not only is it a language, it is also a language dealing with our number system. When you deal with the United States, they have a separate language from their numbers. In the Hebrew language, as well as the Arabic, the Aramaic, the Syriac, their numbers don't separate from their letters. Am I lying, brother Bashir? Okay, so when you're dealing with the ancient Hebrew, you're dealing with numbers, and even the nation gods and earths understand that everything was built off mathematics. You understand what I'm saying? When you're dealing with math, you understand what I'm saying? So when you're dealing with the Hebrew language, you're really dealing with the language of numbers. You understand what I'm saying? So that's basically where that's cool, brother. See, your thing, man, it's cool. I'm here to challenge lies and deception. The lies and the deception is this: a misunderstanding of the Hebrews. Let me give y'all a little history about the Hebrews. You know what? The Hebrews always been here in Harlem, man. Don't y'all know that the Hebrews been here since Marcus Garvey? Do I hear somebody rapping? I want to get into that cipher real quick, because the mighty Hebrew rap too. You understand what I'm saying? The mighty Hebrew rap too. So what I'm saying to y'all brothers, the Hebrews is here. You know what I'm saying? Now, it might be disagreements from certain Hebrews, but what I'm here to tell y'all is that we all in this together. Absolutely, brother.
So one of the questions I want to ask, right, is that, well, I'm going to set the premise and then you see if I'm correct. Because from my perspective, Hebrews really don't exist anymore. Now this is why. Because when you look at the Hebrew Israelites, it's a bloodline, right? Now, our people attached to Hebrew doctrine around the 50s and 60s, that's when the masses of those that came out of Christianity to Hebrew, to become a Hebrew Israelite, they really just came out of the church and they wanted black consciousness. Now you did have some Israelites that dealt with Marcus Garvey. So my question is how can we have a destabilized family, a loss of knowledge of self, but connect with Hebrew Israelite doctrine as if our bloodlines run there when we can't prove that our bloodline is running there? Like ISUPK used Bob Marley, for example, right? They say, look at Bob Marley, and he's a white man. But if you look at these faces out here, you know, we wouldn't say he's a white man or he's a white man or he's a white man just because our phenotype look similar, right? So Bob Marley has African phenotype, right? But they'll say that he's not one because his father is white. So, and we know that the white man raped our women, and therefore, and he systematically did it where he studied out our men. So our bloodline, if we're going to use it that way, was washed up anyway. You know what I'm saying? So the white man used his sperm to commit a biological warfare on our people, which we know is facts. So if we know that our bloodline was diluted and we was detached from the knowledge of what tribes exactly we came from, how can we say in this current age that we know for a fact, like yourself, that you are Hebrew Israelites and our other brothers, they say they are Hebrew Israelites? How can we establish and prove that our people here in general are Hebrew Israelites?
First of all, that was a good question that you asked, Brother Bashir, and I'm gonna answer the question to the best of my knowledge. First and foremost, we got to understand, number one, slavery. Listen, but I want to answer his question. I got you.
For what?
Listen, we got to understand slavery and the mental side that the Euro-Gentile put our minds in, that our women was just raped, you know, just constantly raped. This is not true. We got to understand that our women and so-called African Americans were known as disdain, as property, as chattel. So there were times that the slave master may have raped a woman on the plantation here and there, but it wasn't like now. When you ask me about being there,
let me ask you something real quick.
I just want to.
No, I want to let you go. It's just
okay.
Quick. So when you say that, I want to understand that it's not just white man that raped this. He create men, black men, right, Africans, to be studs, right? So he will say, well, this stud, because he's strong, will go with this woman, right? Which is also another form of rape because she didn't necessarily want that black man on top of her, right? So the white man was in it, and then he was mixing the other tribes and all of that. So if all of that was happening,
right, how do we know?
We cannot say we became a new people with all of that.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to get to.
Okay, I understand exactly what you're saying. Again, we have to understand the tribes that came over here. Now, right now, and anybody can go online, people got their internets and all that. They just discovered rediscovered certain library books of Timbuktu. And in these books that were written in Arabic, because at the time when Timbuktu, Songhai, Mali, all that was built, Arabic became the language of diplomacy at the time. And when they actually wrote a lot of these records, they actually wrote about Israelites, or quote-unquote Jews from the tribe of Judah that was in the land of West Africa in mass amounts of numbers. Now, we got to understand the tribes that came over from West Africa. When we start talking about, for instance, the Ashanti tribe, The Ashanti, that is not the original name of the tribe. When you actually go amongst the Ashanti, they have stories saying that they wasn't originally from Ghana, West Africa, but they was actually from the Middle East, and they were driven into West Africa, and they took on the name Ashan because it reminded them of the burning of Jerusalem. The word Ashan means smoke in Hebrew. The tie or the tay in any West African language is a suffix defining a descendant of, a child of. So when you say Ashanti, you're saying the children of Ashan. So the Ashanti understood that they were Hebrews. When you start talking about the Igbo is an Igbo word that defines that they are descendants of the Hebrews. When you go into the West African cultures within their traditional dances, you know what I mean, they show that they wasn't from, not to say that all West African tribes were indigenous. I'm talking about the tribes that they brought over here, that they sold. They understood by our phenotype, us growing mass amounts of hair, beards, things of that nature that distinguished us from the Hamitic tribes. They understood that the tribes that they were sending over here were the descendants of the ancient Hebrews. So when we were brought...
That's where the problem comes, though. We cannot say the Hametics, right, which is a representation of African or so-called African people, and then you look at Ham, Shem, and Japheth and all these other tribes, right? And then you say, well, they all cohabitated in the same areas, right? They mix their blood, and then say we hold a bloodline that has not been touched or altered. So I'm not
saying that the bloodline. I'm talking about the seed of the father. That's two different things.
To be an Israelite, you have to be bloodline in it, right?
Let me define so you understand.
Go ahead.
Your blood doesn't determine that you're Israelite. It's the seed of your father. That's two different things. Right. We got to make that clear. Second, it's not just the historical records alone that determines who the Israelites are. You know what I mean? When you're dealing with West African records, but it also determines by the history of the people itself. When you look at certain cultures, ancient cultures and tribes, they operated within their socialism, their customs, their ways, their morals, their ethics. And one thing about the ancient Hebrews, when they worshiped the creator of heaven and earth, Yahweh Elohim, they wasn't into amalgamating and mixing as much as they are today. You understand what I'm saying? When you look at the pronostications of the curses, we know emphatically, because like OJ say, if the glove don't fit, just to quit. We know when we read in them curses in Debium, falsely called Deuteronomy, we know that the pronostications is clearly speaking about a certain people that will lose their identity. For example, verse 36 says, I will make you and your king go into a strange land which neither you nor your fathers have known, and there you will worship idols, wood and stone. When we came over here and when we was in the Arab slave trade, we became Muslims. You know what I mean? They transferred us into the East African slave trade. When you start talking about West Africa, we know. I'm saying let me just deal with this right here first. You understand? Again, this is not an attack on my brother. I have to make this clear. We're dealing with historical facts and records. The East African slave trade, they was involved in that slave trade and start selling us into Pakistan, Persia, Afghanistan, things of that nature. The West African slave trade was helped by so-called Africans or Hamitic tribes that converted into Islam, that was into traditional West African culture. In turn, they sold us to the Ishmaelites, who we know today as the Arabs. The Arabs took us to the Gold Coast and sold us to the Edomites, to Europeans. So we got to understand who they were selling, because if me and you have if we have the same tribe, you're not going to sell your own people from your tribe. You're going to sell invaders. You understand what I'm saying? And the Hebrews are ancestors. I'm not saying that in certain, listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying in certain cases that one won't be sold. I'm talking about in masses.
But that's what I'm talking about, because traditionally we know that African culture use servitude, right? No problem. Use servitude from tribe to tribe. Absolutely. So if this tribe battle with that tribe, you will be enslaved. You have to serve out your time, serve out your debt, and then you can either amalgamate with the current tribe or go back to your own tribe. So we know that, but that's what I'm saying.
Let's stop right there.
Hold up, real quick.
Just that point.
Go ahead.
Right back. When you were saying about the servitude again, we have to be clear that there's a difference from slavery that they brought us over here in the Americas versus indigenous servitude. In indigenous servitude, it wasn't as if we was dealing with masses of servants going into tribes, to other tribes at one specific time, or even a conglomeration of times. When we were talking about the transatlantic slave trade, we was going by the millions. You understand what I'm saying? We was going by the millions. They already estimated close to 1 billion souls was lost in the transatlantic slave trade. So just to say that is what I'm saying to you is this, good brother. I hear people saying, you know, about we can't prove this, we can't prove that, we can't prove this. What we can prove is that you do have West African tribes. Even to this day, I've been to West Africa. I've sat amongst the Igbo, the Ashanti, and different people that over there, if anybody, they got internet right here, type up Igbo Jews. We talking about damn near 1 million of them that been keeping these traditions alive, and they already been proven so-called scientifically that 70% of African Americans are of Igbo descent. So if the Igbos of West Africa, okay.
I'm gonna let you go. The first thing I think we got to do is we have to detach from this terminology that the white man enslaved us, because slavery is bondage, right? Now, yes, he did put us in bondage, but what he did was more than slavery. What he did was a holocaust. So on black people. So what I'm saying is that when we use the terminology slavery, we thinking, oh, chains and shackles, they did this to us, etc., etc.
But saying I'm only speaking so people can understand what I'm saying. I know it was a holocaust.
But look, this is what I'm saying. If we take it out the slavery paradigm where you just bonded somebody and do all of that, and put it in the paradigm that he committed a genocide. Absolutely. He tried to literally destroy an entire nation. In fact, he destroyed nations and civilizations that no longer exist. Okay. He destroyed the Australians, he destroyed the Native Americans, he destroyed everywhere he went, right? So I think the first thing we have to do is take it out the slavery paradigm and put it just like what it is. He systematically wanted to biologically destroy us. He psychologically wanted to destroy us. And he had us in bondage as well. So I'm tired of the slavery paradigm. Let's know that he's wanted for murder. He's wanted for homicide. He's wanted for neglect. He's wanted for abuse. He's wanted for rape.
Me and you both agree with that.
He's wanted for all of these things, right? So that's not just hold him to slavery. We bringing him up on charges for every damn thing.
But how can you bring him now?
Every felony,
right, listen.
On him.
And you know what, y'all? Listen, and he needs a hand clap, for that, for what he said. Everybody give him a hand clap. Everybody give him a hand clap. Now, I'm saying the same thing too. I'm just speaking in the common language so people, because you might have children come up, so people can understand me. What I'm saying is this: you're absolutely right. It wasn't even a Holocaust, it was a Holocaust. So with that in mind, remember how you said we need to bring charges up on them? Now the Moorish brothers right here, we got a couple of Moorish brothers, and the Islam brother, they will totally agree with me. The only way that you're going to bring charges up, you know what I mean? Because you're talking about a crime against humanity. You must be a part of the human family of nations. And if you're not a part of the human family of nations because you're not identifying yourself with a nationality, and you're identifying yourself as 3/5 mind, soul, and body, but you don't have a divine creed or you don't have a nationality, you can never impose charges on the enemy because you don't have a nationality. You have, listen, excuse me, Moorish brothers. Listen, I want y'all to hear this. We know that in the United States Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, subparagraph 3, it talks about how the so-called Negro is 3/5 of a man because he has a mind, soul, and body. But he doesn't have a divine creed, which is a constitution, and he doesn't have a nationality. So because of that, you can't go to the United Nations International Court of Justice in the Netherlands and ask for a form. Let me just finish. A form, because remember, I gave you a hand clap. You're absolutely correct. It is a Holocaust or a Holocaust, but how can we get reparations if we keep calling ourselves African Americans, Africans, Negroes, Sambos, Porch Monkey? I'm going to tell you how you get reparations. Let me just answer this question. I'm going to go right to you. This is how you get it. First, you have to identify yourself with a nationality under the Vienna Convention of Diplomatic Relations, 1961, October 2nd. When they talking about diplomatic relations, ancient and near, they're talking about nations nations that were known from ancient times to now. You understand what I'm saying? And when you look at the Moorish Empire, which the Hebrew Israelites was a part of the Moorish Empire as well, you understand what I'm saying? That was the last stronghold of the Moorish Empire of Grenada in Spain. So we understand that, then we can come under the paradigm as being a Moorish Hebrew Israelite national or Hebrew Israelite. Let me just finish. So in turn, when you start dealing with those diplomats in the UN, when they look at the table of nations, because remember, they didn't enslave us under UCC, Uniform Commercial Code. They enslaved us under the law of nations, which is called Jus Tentorum, the law of the Gentile. So when they put us under that, they stripped us of our nationality and defined us as property. This is why I keep saying we're not black men, because this identifies those that are unconscious of truth. I'm a white man, because white is defined in light. It's defined in truth. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm saying, what I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is this. I hear everything that he's saying, and he's absolutely correct when he's dealing about a Holocaust. But the only way that we're going to be able to answer the question of a Holocaust, we got to go in as a true and living flesh and blood man with a nationality and a divine creed. And under that nationality and divine creed, look, I am a Hebrew Israelite from the tribe of Yahwadah. Abayam Yasha'ala Wa'um Yahwadah. That's who I am. And under that, then you can get your reparations, and your birth certificate will become a blank.
Give it up. Give it up. Now, I love you. I love you. Listen, we're going to have to pay attention, because I love my brother. But let me tell you, it sounded good, but that shit ain't going to work. Excuse my French. Excuse my French. No. I don't really talk about that, but I'm sick of brothers telling us that, one, you're going to go to the United Nations and tell them that they're going to do something for your damn people. Let me tell you, let's just look at how the United Nations was formed just for a moment. Put it to the short story in layman's terms so we can understand. The white man created the damn United Nations. Why he created the United Nations? So he could have power over all the damn nations, right? But this is what is important. The United Nations and international law is not real, like I told Taj, Brother Taj, right? This is the reason it's not real. Because you have all these countries together that say we come up with our own ideals of how we're going to operate international law, right? And we're going to agree with these things, right? But what happened after the towers fell? What happened? This is how the UN work. When these crackers make it work for just them. When the towers fell, what did they do? George Bush said, what we're going to do is we're going to go right to Iraq. We're going to go get Saddam, right? What did the United Nations say? Come on, crowd. What did they say? They said, no, don't go, right? What did he say? He said, we getting suited and booted, and our ass is going over there. Get the aircraft carriers, get all of this, we out of here, right? Then he went and bombed the whole damn nation, right? And he told the world that these people had weapons of mass destruction, when we know damn well they didn't when they went over there, right? So if we think this bastard, you're going to go to him and you're going to tell him, I'm a Hebrew Israelite now, or I'm a Moor now, and we are Moors now, and now we want reparations, now we want this, give it to us. No, you're going to have to wake up, clean up, and stand up. We're going to have to rid ourselves of the ignorance of this damn cracker, and we're going to have to build our own empire, because the damn devil has to serve God. So if you're the manifestation of God, you don't ask the devil for a damn thing. You order the devil or what you need him to do for you so he can serve you. So this is what I'm saying. How about this? Wait. This is what I'm saying. This is why we got to come out of the Israelite doctrine, because it's a dead doctrine. And I'm gonna bring you into a doctrine. No, hold up. Wait a minute. Hold up, wait a minute. I'm on track. That's bringing a universal doctrine so our people can raise up outside of our religious ideology, right? And let's do this. Not even talking Islam yet, brother. Let's do this. How about we come together and we say, you know what? Instead of riding a bus, we're going to get our own bus, right? Instead of going to their store, we really going to support our people. But right now, we're just full of BS. You know what I'm saying? We teaching people that if you become an Israelite, if you become a Muslim, if you become this, everything's going to be all right. No. Look, I'm going to close with this. Hold on, let him close. This is why. Because it's not going to work. That's why I disagreed with him. You're not going to be able to go to United Nations. You think they don't know what the hell happened to us? You think Africa don't know what happened to us? Why didn't they come for us? Why is it so hard for us to... Wait. Why are they making it so hard for us to get a damn dollar? Why? He never going to give you nothing. He never going to give us nothing. So this is what we got to do. I'm gonna give you a thing. This is what we got to do.
Can I just say one thing?
Hold up.
Because I'm trying
yeah. Thank you, brother. This is what we got to do.
How do I get a start?
The first thing we got to do is we're gonna have to come together. Our men gonna have to start standing up. Our women gonna have to learn their position. And after we do that, we're gonna really have to detach. We're gonna have to detach ourselves from their society completely and separate ourselves. After we do that, then we'll gain power, and then we'll be able to tell the world, listen, we want our land back, and we're gonna take it back, and we're gonna have to be ready to die, point blank and period for it. That's how we're gonna get it back.
All right. Yo, everybody again, get Bashir a hand clap. Yo, everybody get Bashir a hand clap again. Everybody get Bashir a hand clap. Now listen, if everybody sat here and heard exactly what I said, I never said the cracker is going to give us a damn thing.
Listen.
I understand. No, if you notice, watch this. Notice something. When you're into knowledge of self, it causes humility. And if you notice, when everybody talk, notice how I stand as a soldier and I never say nothing. And this is what y'all lack out here, discipline. And this is what I like about ISUBK. They got a form of discipline. I knew I would get you on that. I know I'll shake you up. But getting back to the point.
ISUBK believe in Jesus. You do.
And that's cool. And that's something me and him would deal in the privacy of our home. We wouldn't deal with that openly. Now get back to the point of what I'm saying. Dealing with what I was saying about the UN, I only explained to you the tools and mechanisms that you would have to take to be recognized if it was fair game. We know that Psalms 83 say that they make atonement, that the nations of the world said, come, let us cut Israel off from being the nation. We understand that. But what I'm saying to you, you understand I'm saying is this. We have to understand that there's going to be casualties of war. Are y'all with me? There's going to be casualties of war. There's not going to be, all of us coming together. We're not going to all be like this.
Yeah, he don't have a speaker today.
Listen.
He don't have a speaker
I'm saying let's respect each other so everybody can hear, because I want everybody to be attentive on what I'm saying. Yo, Sanetta, I want everybody to be attentive. I want you to be attentive too, because I'm talking to you too. What I'm saying is, I would never. So now getting back to the point, and I mean, the Moorish brother here, everybody's here. What I'm saying to the brothers and sisters, I'm a part of a community that we already know in the 60s we left and we went back to Demona. And we started a process. We're not saying that it's complete. What we're saying is that we can use that as a blueprint or as a catalyst, you understand what I'm saying, to create a form of social change. We know for a fact that the European is just not going to just say, here, you're free. We're not asking them to give us freedom, because you're born sovereign. You're sovereign under the Creator. Now, he said earlier that, the Hebrew Israelite doctrine is something to be thrown away. Remember I told y'all earlier, the reason why we known as 3/5 of a man, because we lack the 2/5, which is nationality and constitution. The constitution of the Israelites was the 613 commandments, 248 positive laws, 365 negative laws, which defines the 613 commandments. The Torah itself is the constitution of the Israelites. Just like...
No, I got it.
I start from the Moorish brother down. Okay, when you actually start reading books on the Moorish Empire, when they start talking about the brother by the name of Brother Tariq, General Tariq, that actually took over Spain when he destroyed Ruach, and it was called Iberia, which Iberia actually is a Hebrew name that is Eber. So when you start talking about the Moors, the word Moor only means black. The Moors that went up there, Totally. I mean, and that's cool. That's a hold. I'm gonna say this once again. I know. No. Let me say this once again, brother. One thing about me, when you speak, I'm not gonna say nothing, because I understand where you're gonna go into the ancient records of Kemet and find the word more and all that. I understand where you're going. What I'm saying is, from my understanding and my research, the Moors themselves were Israelites. Some of them converted to Islam. Some of them kept on the Hebrew persuasion and went up into Iberia and Spain and conquered it. So technically speaking, the Moors are in fact Israelites. That's right. So now, let's put that to the side because we already bear witness that the Moors are Israelites. That is our nationality because we are descendants of Yaqub. Now, let me finish. Let me finish. Let me listen. No, what I'm saying to you is I'm a Hebrew Israelite from the tribe of Judah that upholds the constitution of the Torah. Now, getting into being a Muslim.
Well, who we say our? When you say, I'm trying to classify.
It's like y'all.
No.
Okay,
when you say our.
Very rhetorical.
No, listen. When you say our, who are we talking about?
When I say our, I'm talking about.
No. Let me. Are we talking about the blacks just in America?
No. Let me.
Hold on. Are we talking about the blacks just in America? The blacks in the islands? Are we talking about all the blacks around the entire?
I'm talking about no. I'm talking about. Listen. When I'm saying our people, so everybody can hear me, I'm talking about the so-called Negroes of the West Indies, the Americas. I'm talking about the natives of this continent of South America, Central America, and the Caribbean islands. I'm talking about the same 12-tribe chart that Brother Tazariak is talking about. That's exactly what, let me finish. Even if you disagree with me, brother, learn humility, man. So this is the only way we're going to be able to come together. We first got to have humility, man. Now, what I'm saying is both Moors brothers here agree because these are Moor scholars. They know that the Moors were the original Israelites that dealt with Islamic science that they're dealing with today, codified through Kabbalicism, and went up there into Europe and Spain and Portugal and conquered that land, man, and took over that land. They know this, so this is not nothing difficult. It's not a debate here. We're Israelites, bottom line. Now, when you start talking about being a Muslim, that only means one who submits. This is only defining an action, not a nationality. When you say that you are a Muslim, you're not defining your nationality. You are defining the action that you do. Hold on. Yes, sir. You're defining an action. What I'm saying is this. Regardless if one disagrees if we are Israelites or not, the whole point that we're trying to reconnect back to is a land, a language, a culture. And now going back into what we was talking about, international law, Europeans ain't create a motherfucking thing. We need to stop saying that Europeans created international law, because if you read the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, they tell you that they got these diplomatic relations from out of the scriptures, out of ancient records prior to any European, you understand what I'm saying, dealing with diplomatic relations. We know that ancient Kemet, they had their own diplomats. Babylon had their own diplomats. Assyria, ancient Canaan land, Israel, ancient South America, Mesoamerica, they had diplomats. They had aristocrats. They had people that was in power that dealt with international law. Remember, the Moors dealt with the laws of maritime law way before the Europeans was even dealing with that. And we know that the people of Carthage under Hannibal and all that, they was dealing with that as well.
I interviewed you 5 years ago.
Okay, tell me.
I got a good memory. Absolutely. I interviewed you 5 years ago. And what you talked about was how the ancient Kemetic people were the same people as the Hebrews as well. No, you did say, I got it on tape.
And then, I got the tape too. And that's
okay.
Not what I said.
What you said?
What I'm saying to you, you got to understand, when I speak, I'm a scholar, so I speak cordial. Now, I'm trying to show you our connection. You understand what I'm saying? Because, listen, no, he was the... I didn't say that. I didn't say, because I acknowledge that the Kemetians are descendants of Mizraim. You understand what I'm saying? It's really called Kamata. They are descendants of Mizraim. I am a descendant of Shem going through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'm saying that these were not just biblical characters, but these are records that we kept. You understand what I'm saying? That they even talk about in the Mesoamerica. If it's fake, right? If it's fake, why are they finding mods over here? We got Moors over here right now. Why are they finding mods with ancient Hebrew writings, with ancient Hebrew writings? Why did they find the tablet of Moses with an image of Moses as a black man with Hebrew around it? Why are they finding these things? You want to know why? Because the North American, South American, and Central American Indians were from over there, and we were from over here. Remember, that was all one. What they now call what that scientists call Pangea. There was no such thing as Africa, Asia, Europe, none of these things. And I'm gonna keep saying it again. The whole planet is ours, but the center is actually Israel. Why you think they call it the Mediterranean Sea? Anybody know what Mediterranean mean? I just ask question, and then you can go. Do anybody know what Mediterranean mean? Yeah, Mediterranean. Anybody know what that mean? Yeah, say it, man. Is it mid-terrain? Right. Yes. Middle, right. Middle what? Right, middle terrain. What's terrain? Earth. Let's look at the science of our ancestors. King Solomon, because I've been at the Western Wall, King Solomon built the temple in the center of Mount Moriah. Okay? Mount Moriah sits in the center of Jerusalem. Okay? Jerusalem sits in the center of Israel. And the earth, not the sun, because there's many suns, because the sun is nothing but a star. The earth, not the sun, is actually the center of the universe. Our people understood that, so we can go back to nationality. Go ahead.
So, all right, so let me make this premise. Because yes, yeah, I'm gonna make a statement, ask you the question, because I gotta show you what I observe. And what I observe, with no disrespect, is a lot of hypocrisy and contradiction.
Like what?
I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna run it down. The first thing is establish that you was a Tanakh Hebrew, right?
I'm a Hebrew Israelite that upholds the Tanakh.
That upholds the Tanakh. Hold on, wait, right, yes. Right. So that's for layman's terms, Old Testament, we could say, just for general, or the first 5 books of Moses. Can we say that?
The first 5 books is Torah, which means teaching.
Torah, right?
Law.
Right.
So that has to be clear, because I remember Ali Muhammad tried to say that the word Torah actually means law, and it doesn't mean law. It means teachings. A lot of people is dealing with pseudoscience. I'm not that type of Hebrew, brother.
No sweat. But check this out. Well, this is what I'm saying. One, the first thing that I recognize is that you use Old Testament in general, and then you use a New Testament 12-tribe chart that came in the 1960s. And hold up. Or the 50s or whatever, around that time period. Hold up. Around that time. Let me finish. Go ahead.
I got it. That's a lie. Because we know as Rabbi, Rabbi Bivens, he was under what was called Beni Zaquin, which in turn he created what was called the Old Tanakh School. Rabbi Bivens was Torah centered, and he started to find the tribes way before you had the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge that was found by Chief High Priest Ariah and Kazakh. They was already dealing with that in the 40s, not the whole entire chart. Listen, not the whole entire chart. They didn't just come up with the chart. They did research. You understand what I'm saying? Into ancient cultures over here in the Americas that had stories saying that they was descendants of the Hebrews. Okay, so but there was already like 8. Let me finish.
No, I'm trying to establish what you're saying.
It's really started in the 30s.
It started in the 30s.
Yes.
When did it get complete?
It got completed in the late 60s. All right, now that's when it got completed. So but let me just so you'll understand. But that doesn't mean it only got completed for so-called Negroes that didn't know. You understand what I'm saying? But it was already there. It's just like if there is $1 million on that corner right there, just because he don't know it's there, that don't mean it's not there. That's right. Until he walks past and then he finds it. Listen, I'm not really, I'm a pastor to the brother. I'm not really trying to spar with you back and forth with this because it's really simple. What I'm saying to you, what I'm saying to you, good brother, is this. The mighty Hebrew, listen. The mighty Hebrew is back. The man is asking me, listen.
Come on, mighty Hebrew. You got your time. Let me finish. Let me just finish. Look. Hold up. So, because this is important. Look, Sanetta. First of all, you can never unify with somebody that say they're Israelite. You can't do it. Because the reason why is because, hold up. Go ahead. You can't do it. Because if you are not of that doctrine, when you say that we go to the UN and tell them that we're Israelites, hold on, wait, listen. When we go to the UN, like he said, and claim we Israelites, the first thing is the Israelites. So the first thing we're going to have to figure out is what doctrine we're going to follow in the Israelite paradigm. Hold up. No, I didn't say they never went to the UN. No, listen. I rewind it. Hold up, brother. I'll rewind it for you real quick. I'll rewind it for you real quick. All right? What I'm saying is is in order for us to go to the UN and claim Israelites, the first problem we have is that we got to figure out we Old Testament, New Testament, don't believe this prophet, don't believe that prophet, who is God, this not God, this is God, this man is God. So we got to find out who the hell God is. First of all, according to, that's not no hate, that's real talk. That's real talk. Tell me it's not real talk. Now look, now look, now look, now look. Then he tell us, then he say, if you go to, then he says, hold up. I can't focus. Hold up, brother. Hold up. Yeah, come on, man. Look. So when he tell us that, we got doctrine problems. But you do know if we go tell them we're Israelites, we're going to have to back up our doctrine. We're going to have to back up our doctrine, right? Period. So, right. So look. Then you asked a question about our Moorish brother. That's before I say this. Let's understand. Whatever we want to call ourselves, we ain't gonna be able to call ourselves Israelites for sure, because it's attached with a doctrine. It's attached with a doctrine. So you cannot, all of us cannot call us something that's attached to a doctrine, and we don't believe the doctrine. That's just common sense, right? Now, we got our Moorish brother. Hold up. We got our Moorish doctrine, right? Which basically is another problem. Another problem because it literally is an empire that is no longer here. Literally. There is no Moorish empire as in what our brothers would say. That's just a fact. Now we can connect ourselves with calling ourselves Moors, but then we got another problem with the Moors. So you got brothers like Abba, right? You got brothers like Lord Abba that will tell us, well, if you become a Moor, then you have to attach yourself with the teachings of Noble Drew Ali. So our nationality cannot be attached to a messenger. You understand? Because all of us is not a part of that. All of us is not a part of that. Or you cannot be attached with a prophet as far as your nationality. So in order for us to get our true nationality, we're going to have to come up with a consensus as to what we want to call ourselves. And it doesn't have to be based in no book. It only has to be based on what we decide we want to be. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just fact that we are a new people. And we need to get that in our head for real. When we went through so much, hold up. So
I asked you earlier, did I not?
So
remember you said you had that question.
So look, you were so long-winded you made me forget.
No, what I'm saying is,
but look,
you forgot.
But look, I'm gonna conclude with this because you've been going. I'm gonna conclude with this.
He called me all.
I know. I'm gonna conclude with this.
So
right?
I'm asking to ask
you.
We cannot attach. Hold up. We cannot attach ourselves with a name that attaches itself with a doctrine, and we cannot do it in particular, and especially if the people that has that doctrine don't even believe the same things when it comes to the most important points of who God is and who prophets are, etc., etc. Come on, we can't do that.
No, because it's going to go back. It's going to come. Can I just ask this question real quick? No, because if you give it up, you lose your turn. It's going to come back to you.
All right, this is where, you know what I'm saying, this is why I'm saying that I have to agree to disagree. I'm agreeing to disagree. First thing, when you were Miss United Nations, this is my issue with the Moors, and this is my issue with people who want reparations. Reparations will never happen. In a billion years, it will never happen, ever. Because we're talking about people of African diaspora. We're talking about Central America, South America, the Caribbean, North America, and people in other places of the world. So that means somebody, including me, who's Cuban, has to give reparations. It's never going to happen. The Jew will get reparations. The Japanese will get reparations. The native has not even got reparations. It will never happen. The other issue is that is by going to United Nations, you're begging the white man, you're begging him. Okay. And and then you said fair game. How are we going to have fair game with the devil? There is no fair game. The other thing with the other thing is that the other thing too. The other thing too is that just like this is the problem with religion. This is my problem with religion. This is why I'm not religious no more. I was Muslim. Okay, I've denounced Islam.
No such thing as was.
I was Muslim because I don't make salat. I don't fast Ramadan.
Break it down.
Okay, so this is the thing. With all the Israelites, you guys having differences. Okay? Now, no. I'm talking about religion in general. So don't think I'm just like coming at Israelites. The same thing with Islam. This brother here is an Ahmadiyya. In the Islamic world, he's considered a kafir. Right, that's true. Okay? So then you have Shiite, you have Hanbali, you have Salafi, you have Tablighi Jamaat, you have all these groups, Nation of Islam, you have anybody under the banner of Islam. There is indifferences. So the problem is that religion, like it was said, is the opium of the people. God, the creator, does not deal with religion. Because at the end of the day, everything we're talking about is something that has been jotted down, that's now in a book, and everybody has their interpretation. So when we get rid of the books, because we didn't need, look, I don't need a book to tell me not to have sex with animals, and not to have sex with a man, and not to murder, and not to steal. I don't need a book to tell me that. Religion is here to make money off the people, because the minute somebody doesn't go to a synagogue, a masjid, a church, those lights ain't gonna be on, that water ain't gonna be on, ain't nothing gonna be happening. So the bottom line is they want money, and then they throw in the whole fatalist thing that some man is gonna come out the sky, that there's going to be a hellfire, there's going to be a punishment in the grave, and all it does is it puts fear into the people. It's putting fear into the people so the people give them their money. And that's what it is, man. So we have to get rid of religion, and we have to be realistic. And the most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught, we got to do for self. And that's what it is. Do for self and identify with who we are. And stop the bickering.
I got another class to teach you.
Here's the problem. Just real quick. No, I'm 10 seconds. Go ahead.
Remember that this is supposed to be for me. I came all the way up.
No, you gonna get it back, but he got.
No, I don't care about the good. I don't mind about the good brother. He didn't say nothing.
While I'm passing the mic to you, I want to ask you the first question. Do you consider yourself a Hebrew Israelite or a Moor? Or are you both?
In the nature and power of Allah, the master of spiritual insight and perceiver of all truths, I rise to give all praises due to Allah, and I give honor to his holy and illustrious prophet, Noble Jew Ali, the savior of humanity and the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America. I give honor to all those convened here, and I give honor to you, the viewers, and each and every one of you. Peace and love. My nationality is Moorish American. Question number 13 in the questionnaire that was given to Moorish Americans. Hebrew Israelite, is that anthropologically correct? Or Hebrew in the English language, because the word is Ibri in our language, but Hebrew is a language. And that language, a person can't be a language, or we could call ourselves Spanish. Spanish isn't a nationality, therefore Hebrew is not a nationality. Israelite is a nationality because Israel is a nation. It consisted of 12 tribes, perhaps more. Now, nationality is the legal relationship between a person and a country. The legal relationship that this brother has to this country, the United States of America, may be that of an Israelite American. Maybe he's not even American, he's just an Israelite. I was taught by my prophet Noble Jew Ali to proclaim my nationality of Moorish, and then use it in the American government, thereby making me Moorish American, so that I could be part and parcel of the said government and live the life accordingly. Now, as far as before I forget, Moor does not mean black. Moor denotes a member of the Moroccan Empire. The Moroccan Empire were the people who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. It extended across the Great Atlantis and also extended north, south, Central America and the adjoining islands. We have been speaking the Ibraic language here in this hemisphere for thousands of years. Not everybody who spoke Ibri was an Israelite. Not everybody who spoke Arabi was a member of the Moroccan Empire. But if you were a subject to the Sultan at that time, you were a Moor, or considered that. As far as Imam Bashir said something about the Moorish Empire not exist. What's your nationality? Hold on. So here's what happens.
I will rock with Moorish American.
Oh, my fault. I didn't even know I gave you the mic.
Rock with that.
But look what happened.
No, I thought he asked me.
What happened was, now in 1913, when the Holy Prophet Noble Jew Ali came on the scene and started teaching our people that we weren't Negroes, blacks, colors, and Ethiopians. You don't consider yourself a Negro, black, colored, Ethiopian. See how we right here? See, you got a turban on, right? Absolutely. I have a fez on. These are the ancestral headdresses of our people that denoted our nationality, a nation being an aggregation of people. This is a legal definition, by the way. This isn't how I feel about the word. This is no Moorish doctrine. No, this is how Taj Tariq Bey tell you. This is 3rd grade. Nation is an aggregation of people. Okay? sharing the same customs, culture, tradition, religion, language, and historic continuity. When was the last time you looked at a law dictionary?
First of all.
Okay, cool. You don't have an answer. Now here's what I'm saying. Now when I look at a dictionary,
with their nationality, as far as all of the nation,
America.
And the more
Now when I look at a dictionary, right? I'm looking at the definition of the word because I'm using these words in order to communicate with people.
This whole system is built off of religious aspect.
Now, when we communicating with people, we have a message that we would like to convey. In order to convey the proper message, we must know what the words mean when we are employing them. You cannot say, well, that is light outside and it's 12 in the morning, unless it is light outside. Now, if by light I really mean the metaphysical portion of dark, you sound ridiculous to a civilized human being, regardless of their nationality. Now, when we're going to speak on the Moroccan Empire, which is the present Moroccan Empire, we're talking about people. A nation is an aggregation of people. So the body politic itself is separate from the people. The body politic, the jural society, the machination that has been constructed to represent the people in the political sphere is the production or the product of people. The organic people and the abstract idea being used to communicate among various nations are two different things. Now, the body politic that we are currently a part of now is America. If you disagree, okay, most people who do disagree have a state ID, benefit card, social security, Section 8, welfare. Stop it. You're an American. You may not be an American citizen, okay, but you're an American. Now, when the brother spoke on the Constitution, I walk with the Constitution. So when you talk about the representatives, the people who at that time had been subject to servitude, they had only been counted as 3/5 of people when you're counting up the representatives. When you really look at what he's saying. Standard Form 181. It says there that this is not for anthropological or scientific how I want to use identification. You aren't identified scientifically or anthropologically. White, black, Hispanic, these are legal terms. The brother's not going to call himself a black Hebrew Israelite. He's going to call himself a Hebrew Israelite. He's telling you what language or what culture, and then he's telling you what nation. When I say Moorish American, I'm telling you the nation and the country that my nation is currently using at the present moment in time to represent themselves in a body politic. Now, as far as the United Nations is concerned, I reject the notion of asking anybody for anything. I do bear witness to the teachers and messenger of Allah, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he told me that when we do for self, we won't require an external force to places where we need to be. Like the brother has stated, do for self. What he did say was accept your own and be yourself. So we must be ourselves in his blood, in his entire psyche, in his psychology, mentally, socially, spiritually, physically, even economically. He's bearing witness to being an Israelite. Therefore, there is a success in his force. You said that you're a part of the people who went where? You went to you were exercising your nationality. Now, the Moorish Americans, us exercising our nationality, we need to learn to actually take part in the American government, the political arena. Oh, well, the white man is the devil. Well, if you God, take him out of office. Go and become a registered voter. Go learn the social sciences, the political sciences. If I can represent, would you vote for me for mayor of New York? You're crazy, you took too long. Yeah. Would you vote for me for mayor of New York? Okay. Are you a registered voter?
Yep, I am.
Are you a registered voter?
No.
No, not in New York, but.
No, not nowhere.
Okay. If I asked you to register to vote for me, would you?
I'm saying yeah to get you.
Now, if I told you, register to vote Pataki in office again, or Giuliani. No, okay. So once we get ourselves in a position to represent ourselves, you know what I'm saying?
Use certain tools.
And that's all it is. And that's all it is. It's that simple. So now, if you call yourself an Israelite, and I'm saying my nationality is Moorish American, but we both in America, what's the difference except the word that we use to describe ourselves? How about we do what the European took from us? Well, I'm not Welsh. I'm not Dutch. I'm not British. I'm not Scottish. I'm American. And they rule you over that. They rule you with that. So you know what?
Those are all nationalities.
Guess what? Yeah, they are all nationality. And they. Oh, I'll give it up. And what they do is they give up their former nationality to take American nationality.
And that's my point.
How about we
call ourselves whatever we want?
And what I'm saying is you cannot inherit what was placed by your forefathers for you when you change your name. If my father said, I'm about to give it up. I'm about to give it up. I'm about to give it up. He ain't take. The devil can't take nothing from God. That's the thing. I'm gonna give it to him. Look, the point was the European relinquished their nationality in order to take the nationality that we formed for them. It's time for us to relinquish ideologies and actually, or if not relinquish them, actually consolidate them and use them as American citizens so that we can take our part in the said government and live life accordingly. Peace and love to all of you.
Before I say what I want to say, I just want to say something. My queen, come here, Bathsheba. It was a statement. It was a statement by a sister when Captain Tazariak was having a debate with Brother Ankh and how the sisters say there's no sisters around. This my partner right here. So there's sisters that's in the midst, you know what I mean, amongst the Hebrew Israelite community. This sister right here is very happy. I love my sisters. So the sisters need to know that the Hebrew Israelites, I don't know what Hebrew Israelites they dealt with, but the Hebrew Israelites here, we love our sisters. And I just want to say to the sisters, Shalom. Now back to what I was saying, right? Now back to what I was saying. I want to just backtrack a little bit and just make a slight correction. You know what I mean? See how these devils can walk freely? That's what we need to be dealing with right there, them damn devils. You know what I mean? And run the asses from out of here. Now get back to the point that I got to say. Now, Brother Moore, I need you to hear this for extent. Don't go nowhere. No. Don't even worry about that. Come here, Amar. Come here, y'all. I want y'all to hear this. Because there were certain things that I find, you know what I mean? And as you notice, again, I never said nothing. I'm very attentive. So, the brother keeps saying doctrine, religion. I'm saying we're saying words. Each culture and people had their own spirituality encapsulated within their own culture. So when you talk about the Torah, if you are dealing with the Torah based on the letter of the law, you will be encapsulated and your mind will become religious. But if you're looking at the Torah, how it should really be looked at as a national constitutional document, it will be dealt with as it is. Let me give you an example what I mean to prove that the Torah is not a religious book. When you go into the 20th chapter of Debayim, you know it as Deuteronomy, it tells you how you deal and build an army, military, warfare. It tells you how to, in the 18th chapter of Debayim or Deuteronomy, how to create your kings and what they need to do as kings. It tells you how to create magistrates and judges. When a woman is unclean, she's unclean for 7 days, or she has a male child, she's unclean for 40 days. If it's a female child, it's 80 days. When you deal with certain customs, like you see my zigzags or my fringes with the cord of blue going around or on the side, it's reasons why that we do these things. Because when you read in Numbers chapter 15, 37 to 41, it reminds us of our culture. Everything that we're dealing with is our cultural persuasion. It doesn't have nothing to do with religion. Now, religion is the abstraction of culture. Like a foreigner might take certain cultural principles of a people and abstract it and formulate religion out of it. Now let me get deeper into the word Hebrew, because the word Hebrew again is being misunderstood. I'm a Hebrew because that's my nationality. I'm an Israelite because that's my tribal heritage. I'm a Hebrew because I descend from the man Eber. That's what makes me a Hebrew. And later on, it became known as the language of the Hebrews. When you actually read the scripture, it doesn't call our language Hebrew. It says the language of the Hebrews. That's what it says. So Hebrews is actually a nationality of people. I'm an Israelite because I'm a descendant from the Hebrew man Yaakov, Jacob, whose name was changed to Yasha'Allah or Yisrael, which means Prince of Power. So even when you're dealing with the Moorish Science Temple, they even have at the end of their name El, because it symbolizes power, because we descendants of ancient Israel. But it really should be pronounced Ishar El, because when you start talking about Israel, this is where you get the pseudoscience Isis, Ra, and El. That's not what that's saying. When you saying Yisrael, you're saying Yis, which means he. Shar is prince. Allah, power, because it's really pronounced Allah, because it doesn't have an E sound. It only becomes an E sound when the vowel grammar is placed on the aloft, on top of the aloft. So getting back to the point, what I'm saying to y'all brothers, being a Hebrew Israelite, that's dealt with reality. Hebrew Israelites is not going nowhere. You can debate Moors is not going nowhere.
Actual facts.
Okay, we can debate this issue until our face turn blue. The reality is you got Israelites growing all over the planet. It's not going to stop growing. And now let's get deep into the context, because like he said, there's two types of nationalities. You're dealing with nationality when it's determined by the state, and then you're dealing with nationality that's determined through your bloodline. I'm dealing with both nationalities. I'm determined through the bloodline because I'm a descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The so-called Negroes are descendants of Abraham.
That's right.
That's just the bottom line. Now, when you go into being of the seed going back into the earth, we know that Ben Ami ben Israel in 1967, may he rest in peace and completeness, him and 400 Hebrew Israelites left America and went to Liberia, Via Damona, Israel, and they built the empire. Now there's communities of Israelites all over the world. Right. They are recognized in the UN, even though they don't sit in the UNC, but they are recognized as a nation of people that is being ruled under their own theocratical government, man. Right. They have their own government, even though it's not, totally sovereign, but the starting process is at hand. So to say to throw away the Israelite thing is really, it doesn't make sense, because we know because I've been to Damona, I done seen it with my own eyes. I've seen it with my own eyes. You know what they doing in Damona? Ask Brother Ankh. You know what the Hebrews created? They created a dripping system, whereas though when they drip and irrigate their land, they're getting 4 times more the produce. We ain't doing that over here. They got their own schools. They got their own hospitals. They got the thought process is writing from the mind thought into reality. So to sit back to say that language came from Kemet is, there have been people on this planet for millions and millions of years. We always been speaking language. That's right. We didn't have to evolve to speak language. We automatically knew once original man was created. When he was being created, he was recording the sounds of creation. So once he was in the physical form, he was able to speak language from the rip. He didn't have to develop to learn how to build empires. See, when we deal in that stage or that spectrum, we giving credence once again to these Europeans, because with the Europeans, their whole mind is evolving from an animalistic nature. Versus when you start talking about indigenous societies, they saying that we came from the higher self to the lower self. Ooh. With the cracker, their whole thing is from the lower self to the higher self.
I speak life with these words, it's that true music. Royalty is smoking y'all, who will ship this the movement. This is the crown life, I call it crown living. This is the royalty. We gotta get back to our throne to wake you up, it's the mission. One. Everybody the revolution is in